Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight, we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. The shocking details that have come out of the House Quad Committee investigation on the Duterte drug war has triggered a separate probe at the Senate. But unlike the House hearings, the man at the center of the controversy, former President Rodrigo Duterte, presented himself to the chamber. And as he often repeated during his incumbency, Duterte says the war was meant to save the people.
My mandate as President of the Republic was to protect the country and the Filipino people. Do not question my policies because I offer no apologies, no excuses. I did what I had to do. And whether you believe it or not, I did it for my country. The war on illegal drugs is not about killing people. It is about protecting the innocent and the defenseless.
The chief implementer of the war on drugs, former PNP Chief and now Senator Ronald Bato Dela Rosa, was also present in today's hearing. But before defending the anti-drug campaign, Dela Rosa minced no words in attacking the House investigation, particularly on efforts to get him to sit in the House probe.
Ayaw ko magiging president, Mr. President. Pagdating ng araw, in the future, lahat ng mga senador na mabubwisit sa kakatawag sa kanilang pangalan kapag ang kanilang pangalan ay na-implicate sa investigation na ginagawa ng other house, ay punta na lang ng punta at wala nang magawa na legislation.
Duterte's right-hand man, Senator Bong Go, he praises for the campaign. He also is being sought by the House to shed light on allegations he handled the reward system for the drug war. Go says he has no knowledge of any order to take life for any reward.
Sa pagkakaalam ko, kailanman ay wala siyang ipinapatupad na anumang sistema kapalit po ang buhay ng sinuman. Ayaw natin na mismong mga alagad ng batas ang lalabag sa karapatang pantaot at ayaw rin nating mangyari ang mga durugista ang maghahasik ng lagim.
Let's get on point. We have the two chairpersons of the House Quad Committee, Surigao del Norte 2nd District Representative Robert Ace Barbers and Santa Rosa, Laguna Representative Dan Fernandez, who was a special mention in today's Senate hearing. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me on my pilot episode. Maraming salamat po sa inyong dalawa.
Thank you for having us, Pinky.
Kong Ace, good to see you again, ha?
Good to see
and
you.
Kong Dan.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. So I hope to see more of you. Umpisahan na po natin. I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you first, ano yung assessment niyo? Pero punta na ako. Let's get on point with
Okay.
Congressman Dan Fernandez. Special mention,
Special mention,
kayo
yeah.
daw ay dinala si Colonel Grijaldo sa isang kwarto doon sa house ba? At basically, to cut a long story short, maybe later we can play his thought. Sinabi mo sa kanya na patotohanan itong supplemental affidavit ni Colonel Garma na merong reward system sa drug war, sir.
Okay,
Totoo
sige.
ba ito?
Alright. Alam mo kasi anong nangyari talaga noon, it was Rohina Garma who told us, kasi nagkaroon siya ng affidavit second affidavit. So sabi niya sa amin, ang makakatulong sa kanya ng malaki dyan, yung kanyang kaibigan, si Colonel Grijaldo. Which sabi ko, dito si Grijaldo. E di, imbitahan natin para mas malaman natin kung ano yung sasabihin mo, na sinabi mo, na makakatulong siya sa iyo. So, ang sabi niya, dadali niya yung dalawang lawyer niya para at least mag-witness na sa pag-uusap namin. So, we called si Grijaldo. So, nung nandun na kami sa loob, sinabi namin, ito yung affidavit. So, ano dito yung mga sinasabi ni Colonel Garma na makakatulong ka sa kanya. Sabi niya, hindi ko po alam mo yan, wala ko alam dyan. Kasi sabi ni Colonel Garma, alam mo daw yung cash reward. Hindi po, wala po akong alam dyan. O yung sa 1999, nasaan ka na? Tinanong ko sa kanya, sabi niya, wala pa ho ako dyan. So, ibig sabihin, wala kang maitutulong kay Colonel Garma. Sabi niya, wala po akong maitutulong. So, we let him go. That's it, and that's
Wala kang
all.
sinabi, Kong Dan, na ito lang kailangan mong basahin, no? patotohanan?
Walang ganon. Kasi it's parang 4 pages of the
I think
the
3 or
affidavit.
4 pages.
So what we did, nandun pa nga si saka primarily nung naandun kami, mali yung sinabi niya eh. Kasi sinabi niya na andun na yung lawyer. As a matter of fact, kahit tanungin mo yung mga lawyers yung huli ang dumating. Ang sinabi niya kasi, nung dumating siya, andun na yung mga lawyer. Wala. Kumbaga,
Sinong nandun sa
pinatawag
kwarto?
pa namin yung lawyer.
So, sino yung nandun sa kwarto initially?
I cannot remember, parang meron pa akong isang napansin na tao doon. Hindi ko alam kung ay staff namin. But andun yung isang tao na kilala ko sa muka. Tapos si Chairman Abante, ako, saka yung dalawang lawyer. But never nagagawin namin yun sa Quadcom that we will coerce, no? Kasi coerce, merong force eh. And we will never do that. You know why? He's not that important. Huwag siya magpaka-importante dahil hindi namin siya kailangan. And at the same time, ito nga, para may reveal na rin ang katotohanan, no? At we're talking about the truthfulness of what transpired. Prior to the Quadcom, yung talagang hearing namin with Colonel Garma, si Colonel Garma was asking us, na meron daw siyang sasabihin na gusto niyang magsabi ng totoo. It was like 2 or 3 times. Meron kaming common friend, si Major Mola. Si Major Mola kasi taga-amin. So, kinontak ako. And then sabi ko nga kay Chairman Ace, pare, may gusto makipag-usap ni kasi meron daw mga sasabihin. Sabi ko, samahan mo ko. Para at least may transparency. So, nung nandun na kami, ang akala ko, ang kausap namin, si Garma lang, saka yung friend namin. Then suddenly, andun si Colonel Grijaldo.
Kasama siya?
Kasama si Colonel Garma. And everything changes. Walang nasabi sa amin si Ayan, Chairman Ace can attest on that.
So you were there?
I was there.
Okay.
I was there. But that was before the time when we invited Colonel Garma to appear before the Quadcom. Kasi I think nung meron ng invitation sa kanya, that's when she started asking for a meeting kay Congressman Dan.
Prior to her first appearance.
Yes, prior to
so
her
to
first
clear
appearance,
everything. So bago pa siya magpakita, gusto ka nang makita,
Yes,
kausapin.
Oo. At yun na nga, itong meron kasi akong kaibigan na sinasabi, Sir, pasensya ka na kasi nabago lahat nang dumating si Colonel Grijaldo. Bakit? Sino ba yun si Colonel Grijaldo? Kasi bata ho yan may mga sinasabi siya, bata siya ni General Bato, ganyan-ganyan. So, hindi naman namin alam wala po kaming pakialam doon. But somehow, nare-relate namin kung bakit siya nagkakaganito ngayon. Remember, Pinky.
Nagkakaganito
Si
sino?
Colonel Grijaldo. Bakit siya nagkakaganito? Why? Because, meron kaming hearing nung last, tinanong ko si Colonel Andulan. Si Colonel Andulan, na involved doon sa assassination kay Mayor Halili sa kay Mayor Perez. Si Colonel Andulan, siya ang humuli doon sa Paul Guy na si Konsehal Norbin Tamisi na Los Baños. So,
Yung umiyak nung hearing.
Yes.
Tinatanong
Paul Guy.
namin si Colonel Andulan, anong relasyon mo kay General Bato? Tinanong ko So sabi niya, PNPA po siya, na-assign siya sa PNPA. At doon, nung panahon na yun, si PNP si General Bato, at nandun yung anak niya na nag-aaral sa PNPA.
Right.
And
you
I
asked
think,
about their relationship. I remember that.
yes, and
Diba?
sabi ko nga, that is your relationship. Sabi ko gano'n. So ngayon, maraming mga posts na lumabas tungkol doon sa atake sa akin ni General Bato. And now, I nag-search ako, inalam ko, ano ba si Colonel Grijaldo kay General Bato during that time. Siya ang controller ng, I think, Region 6 or Region 4A. And I was trying to comprehend yung napanood ko kanina. It's something that is personal, na nasaktan siya sa mga sinabi ko. And it's something that he wanted to discredit the whole of the Quadcom.
So, okay. So, let's go to that. So, yung pong sinabi ni Colonel Grijaldo, syempre, nandito ho kayong dalawa, kayo po overall chairman of the Quadcom. I can imagine that you both will be singing the same tune. Hindi naman ilalaglag ni Kong AC, Kong Dan, and baliktaran, ano po. So, is this Colonel Grijaldo's word now against Congressman Dan Fernandez? Ganun ba ho yan? Or Colonel Grijaldo and President Rodrigo Duterte versus Rohina Garma?
Ako, if you're going to ask my opinion, ang tingin ko dyan, unang-una, tama yung sinabi ni Kong Dan eh. Hindi naman importante si Grijaldo eh. Even if we know that, the General Barayuga assassination happened when he was the chief of police ng Mandaluyong City. And I don't know whether there was a report, a spot report on that particular incident. Usually yan, sa police, may kasamang report dapat yan eh. And then, the issue went wayward, no? Dumabot na tayo dito kay sabi ni Kong Dan, hindi naman importante 'yun. So I don't know anong objective, bakit kailangan sabihin ni Colonel Grijaldo na parang he is making it appear that the Kong Dan wanted him to sign any document, parang forcefully, no? Walang ganun.
Coerced, parang ganon. Oo.
Parang, because lahat ng witnesses ng Quadcom, Pinky, and for the information of the public, lahat yan ay merong affidavit.
Yes.
I remember
and
you say that.
They always volunteer that. The only time that we can get them to appear before the Quadcom is one, kapag meron silang affidavit. Two, they have to pass through the rigorous vetting process of the legal team, no? If you notice, itong kay Colonel Garma, the time that she appeared on her third, we were all surprised. Bakit? Kasi we didn't know that she was with her lawyers and meron siyang affidavit.
Supplemental,
No, that's the first.
yun pa yung una niya.
Yun yung
Oo.
first niya. So, nung nilabas niya,
pwede siya magdagdag, sabi niya, ng
sabi
karagdagang
nga,
detalye.
if kulang
doon
pa
sa-
yung information, if I recall things that I know that I did not write in my first affidavit, I am more than willing. Nasa affidavit din niya yan.
So, just going back to that time, no, naka-9 na ho ba kayo or 10?
10.
Okay, 10 na.
Paten.
Paten na.
Coming to, going into 10, ano. Nung nagsalita po si Colonel Garma, if you look at the body language of the chairman, parang nagulat po sila. Kayo yon. In fact, there was a time that Congressman Dong Gonzales, who shows up every so often during the House Quad Committee hearing, at sinabi niya na, pwede bang ulitin mo yung nilalaman ng affidavit mo dahil umiiyak siya. So na baka isipin ng tao, she was coerced
Yes.
into
That's correct.
writing that affidavit and saying it in front of you guys. So how it different? Siguro ang tanong ko dyan, how do we differentiate a Colonel Garma versus a Colonel Grijaldo now?
The difference?
Oo, kasi ang sinasabi niya, it's his word against your word, Congressman Dan, na gusto mo, dinala mo siya sa isang kwarto, nandun yung abogado ni Colonel Garma para patutuhanan niya.
Yeah,
Oo.
patotohanan. But I never said any affidavit. I'm never asking him to execute any affidavit.
Hindi. Sabi niya, ito yung affidavit ni
Colonel Garma.
Ni Colonel Garma.
Oo, sinasabi
And then
ko,
ito lang ang babasahin
actually,
mo.
hindi ganun ang pagkakasabi ko, Pinky. Ang pagkakasabi ko sa kanya, sinasabi ni Colonel Garma na kaibigan ka niya. At ikaw lamang makakapagsabi ng totoong nangyari ang reward system. Yun ang sinabi ko sa kanya. At kaya nga tinuro ko, ito, totoo ba to about sa reward system? I think I remember number 17. Nasabi ko sa kanya, ito, totoo ba itong sinasabi ni Garma na ikaw makakapagpatotoo? Hindi ho, sir. Wala ho. Kaya umakyat ako doon sa unang page. Sabi ko, sa 1999, eto, pwede mo bang sabihin na totoo dahil sinabi ni Garma? Hindi po, wala
So
po.
categorically, you're saying you did not tell him to say these things?
No, walang ganoon.
Wala.
Kasi nga, siyempre, remember, Pinky, nakakalungkot yan. Because, kanina nga nagtanong sa akin si Ace, saan nangyari yung kay Grijaldo? Hindi niya alam.
Hindi ko alam
so,
eh.
alam mo,
I know.
tingin mo,
Yeah.
I will decide on my own and Chairman Abante will
You
decide.
and Congressman
Yes,
Abante.
we cannot decide on
Tapos
our
sinabi
own.
pa daw ni allegedly ni Congressman Abante na, Colonel ka, di ba? Ay, wala ka bang ambisyon maging general?
Walang gano'n. Anong kapasidad namin para sabihin yun? At hindi namin pwedeng pakialaman yung mga promotion na under the jurisdiction of the Chief PNP and
Sige.
also the President.
Okay, to end the issue on Colonel Grijaldo, what do you plan to do about this?
With Grijaldo's statement.
With his statement at the Senate?
You know, we will still invite him kapag dumating na doon sa issue where he is involved, no? Especially when we speak about or discuss the issue on the Barayuga case,
Yes.
no?
Shooting.
Kasi meron pang mga details that needs to be ironed out. No, number one, ano ba yung report na nilagay nyo dun sa police report when that incident happened? Ikaw yung chief of police eh. Number two, ano yung meron bang identity o meron bang witnesses na nakakita nung incident na yun? Anong sinakyan? Anong itsura, ano yung
Wasn't there a
baril.
CCTV, sir?
There was a CCTV. That's why we wanted to see whether that was all incorporated in the police report.
If it was a complete police report.
Because
kumbaga.
apparently there are issues that there seems to be some sort of a cover-up on the real score. No?
Well, just to add, is it incumbent upon the Quadcom team to invite him in the next hearing because of what he said about that encounter with Congressman Dan Fernandez?
Well, ako actually, sa totoo lang, lesser issue si Grijaldo eh. Ako, I don't want to dwell deeply on him eh. Because diversion yan eh. Hindi natin ako sa akin, sa sarili ko. Dahil I know for a fact na talaga hindi nangyari.
So you're not affected by it?
No, I'm not affected.
Okay.
Kasi sa totoo lang, parang natatawa nga ako sa kanya because it's full of lies. Dapat sinabi niya yung unang-una nung dumating siya sa meeting natin na andun siya para pigilan niya si Colonel Garma.
Oh. Tell us about that before we go on a break. So he was there too?
Yung kay Colonel Garma, nung first meeting namin, prior to the Quadcom hearing, he was not even invited. I don't know why he was there. Because si Colonel Garma was about to tell everything to us already. And that's the reason why I called Chairman Ace.
So ano sinabi ni Colonel Grijaldo?
During that time.
Oh, why did
andun
you
siya,
say that
nasa
pipigilan
eto nga
niya sana si Colonel Garma?
Andun siya sa gitna, andito kami si Ace, andito ako, andito si Colonel Garma, andito yung kaibigan kong si Major Mola. And then we were talking to Garma. Andun siya, hindi namin alam what happened because apparently this Major Mola was trying to tell us that she's going to reveal everything. And then suddenly everything changes. The problem is they invited us. Si Chairman Ace ang nagbayad ng 19,000 pesos.
At saka talaga naman invited palagi si Grijaldo in all our hearings eh. So he has to be there.
Yeah.
Because at any time during the hearing, we can ask questions to him.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more of this discussion with Representatives Ace Barbers and Dan Fernandez. This is On Point. Welcome back. You're watching On Point. Still with us, Congressmen Dan Fernandez and Ace Barbers. Quickly, siguro, if you don't mind, let's tell them about your vetting process.
Okay.
Sige, sabi,
Well, that's
baka
supposed to
gusto
be
niyo
a trade secret. But we'll give you some glimpse of
Okay.
how we do it. No? So if there's anyone who wants to speak before the committee, we ask them to submit an affidavit. No? And in the affidavit, we will ask our legal team to ask him about his affidavit, whether he's telling the truth or not. No? And if we are doubtful of his testimony, then we do a little bit more.
Which is?
Sometimes we do ask the assistance of a polygraph test from PNP, or sometimes some psychological evaluation from the experts.
Really?
So that's how we do it.
That's how serious you are.
Yes, we
about,
are serious.
We don't want to
The resource persons.
We want the truth to come out.
Saka yung mga nangyayari that nagre-retract sila. So, kung mangyari na after the hearing, tapos magre-retract sila, meron kami mga ebidensya against them.
All right. Former President Rodrigo Duterte showed up during the hearing. Although we did know, according to Senator Bato, sinabi ni Senator Bato Dela Rosa na talagang pupunta si dating Pangulong Duterte sa Senate. But it was wait and see, no? Anything could have happened today and he showed up. The last hearing, I know nagkaroon pa ng konting, conflict siguro, I would call that. I think between you, Kong Ace, and Congressman Paduano.
Yes,
Di ho ba?
Hindi naman. There was actually some discussion on the
letters sent.
The letters sent by the lawyer, and of course whether are we going to demand from the former president yung medical records niya, no? Because apparently that day he was not feeling well. So I argued and said na siguro hindi na natin dapat munang gawin yon. Because in deference, kita naman natin eh. Diba? The guy is old. The guy is a little bit frail. So maybe as far as his health is concerned, we should not demand for more documents for that. No? But in deference to him being the former president. Yun lang naman yung point ko. But if there was a vote and I lost in that position, I would gladly...
Walang samaan ng loob. Ganun ba yan?
Walang samaan ng loob. Ganun
Kasi
sa
nagano
amin.
ka eh, nakita ko yun. I remember that hearing. Sabi mo, 1-minute suspension because Congressman Paduano was adamant when he was saying that Am I right when he was saying, ano ba to, do we treat our resource persons differently? May VIP treatment ba
may
dito?
VIP treatment ba?
Oo, ayun.
That's why I explained. Sabi ko, hindi. Walang VIP. How many resource persons do we invite in this committee? How many presidents, former presidents do we invite? And he's the first and the only former president. So I guess we should afford him the necessary courtesy, or at least even stretch a little bit our courtesy to the person because he was a former president.
Then there is VIP treatment. Is there something
let's
wrong
just
with
put it
just
this way,
admitting that?
hindi siguro VIP, no, in the sense, because it's different eh. When you give him a VIP, you treat him practically spoon-feed to him everything, no? In this case, no. It's just a matter of whether the committee will demand for a medical certification
Okay.
or not.
All
Yun
right.
lang.
And were you able to watch the hearing?
A while ago?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Pag-usapan po natin yung, kayo, Kong
Ako
Ace,
no, I wasn't
not
able to
so.
watch it eh.
Ako,
Hindi-
kaya
hindi ko
ako,
napanood.
kaya ako pinanood kasi nga I really wanted to find out.
Kasi alam
kung-
mong lalabas ang
No,
pangalan
no, no,
mo.
I really don't have any idea. I really don't have any idea. What I'm trying to find out was yung ano kanina, yung what are the questions to be asked para at least pagdating sa amin, alam na namin kung ano yung mga tatanong namin.
But
Na hindi na nila tinanong.
were you surprised dumating si dating Pangulong Duterte?
No, kasi alam na naman namin na dumating na through ano yung flight niya.
Ang dami yung ang dami yung nalalaman behind the scenes. That's what I noticed in this hearing. Okay, let's talk about that with the Kong Ace and Kong Dan. Naging klaro ho ba sa inyo na may Davao Death Squad o wala?
Well, ako klaro na yun.
Ano
Kasi
yung
siya
klaro
na mismo
po sa
nagsabi
inyo?
kanina eh, siya na eh. Sinabi na niya yun eh. Alam mo kasi dati, kwentuhang barbero lang yan eh. Kwentuhan sa mga palengke, kwentuhan sa
Kutsero
mga
naman,
PNP.
kasi barbero ako.
Nga pala.
Then suddenly somebody nag-appear sa Kongreso, si Colonel Garma, who confirmed that there was yung DDS.
Ako kanina lang, in that hearing earlier, there was an admission, no less than from the former president, that there was indeed death squad sa ginagamit niya. And I think he even mentioned pitong tao.
Yes.
Di ba? So, do we need to say more? Hindi na siguro dahil there was already an admission.
That's the same question. I just want to bring this in. I asked Attorney Salvador Panelo, who was beside the former president during the hearing. Sabi ko, pakipaliwanag po sa amin, meron ho ba talagang Davao Death Squad o hindi? Kasi una sinabi meron, nandyan yung mga chief of police, 7 yan. Tapos pagkatapos sinabi yung mga kriminal lang daw. So, Attorney Panelo said, the president was basically just kidding.
Yun na nga ang problem natin ngayon eh.
And sorry, let me just add this. He
Yeah.
said that when he said Davao Death Squad, yung mga kriminal sa kriminal ang nag-aaway. Yun daw yung Davao Death Squad. That's what Attorney Salvador Panelo said. How do we reconcile what he said as former presidential spokesperson, former presidential legal counsel also, and to what the president said?
Alam mo, that's the problem. Yung mga pronouncement ng ating former president and the spokesperson, hindi sila nagmamatch. And we have to acknowledge that the level of knowledge of all the personalities in the PNP organization, hindi sila pare-pareho eh. Di ba mga general, yung mga non-commissioned, colonel, mga majors, siyempre, hindi nila malaman kung ano talaga yung policy ng gobyerno. Meron sa kanila Memorandum Circular number 16/2016 na sinasabi negation, sinasabi neutralization. And then, tayo, somehow nagugulo din tayo eh. So much more, yung mga lower ranks. Paano nila i-implement yung isang bagay na sinasabi ng presidente na patayin, di ba, i-liquidate, di ba, tapos may bayad. So, yung mga general sinasabi, walang ganun. Pero pag bumaba yung order sa mga police, you cannot blame them na magkakaroon sila ng confusion. And that's what the problem lies. And I hope that this will not happen again dahil nga mali yung mali yung pronouncement tapos ang memorandum circular mo na inisyo nila General Bato was this. And then yung mga generals na nakakaalam kung ano talaga ibig sabihin nun, pagdating doon sa mga lower ranks hindi alam. And mind you, meron kasing payment system eh. And that make it more attractive.
And who said that there is a reward system?
Si Colonel Garma.
Yun pa rin.
Oo, tapos sinabi niya si Peter Parungo na nakatanggap ng pera na nasa si Muking.
Oh, Muking, sir, was Muking's name was said kanina
Yes.
kay Senator Bong Go at sinasabi nga niya na Muking does, pagka anyone wants to meet the president, appointment, schedule, calendar, ganun lang daw po. And then all of a sudden, Muking becomes a pivotal person in this supposed reward system.
Hindi naman tayo
Basing
nagsabi.
it on the affidavit of Colonel Garma, sinasabi niya that there's money coming from Muking deposited in the accounts established and opened by Peter Parungo. And then Peter Parungo sends money to those the recipients of the reward, no? Kaya nga nandun pa kami sa stage na yun that we really want to establish whether these money na dumadaan kay Muking and kay Peter Parungo, that's why we invited them kaninong money yan? Saan galing yan? Para saan yan? And absent them, we won't be able to say kung ano ba talaga, kung meron para ba yan sa reward or hindi.
I wonder if you heard what the former president, replied to when asked about Colonel Garma and the reward system. Nung tinanong po siya point blank about the allegation, or the accusation rather, the statements made by Colonel Garma, ang sabi niya, well, ang unang tanong, tinawagan ho ba kayo?
Yan.
Di ba?
Maganda yan,
Tinawagan
maganda
ho
yan,
ba
maganda
kayo
yan. Yeah.
ni Colonel Garma noong May 2016? Tapos sabi niya, bakit ko siya tatawagan? Di ba ganun ang naging sagot niya? Oo, nag-deny.
Yes.
And then he said, sinungaling yang,
Yes.
said a word, referring to Garma. Now, here's the thing, sir. You are relying on a reward system according to Colonel Garma. The former president is belying that and saying that, I didn't even call her, that there is no truth to that. Who is telling the truth and who is lying here?
Ako, as a matter of fact, pagdidesisyonan natin to expedite everything. Kasi nga, sinabi na niya sa Senado na merong DDS Alam na natin na meron talagang naging patayan. Yun lang naman inaalam natin dito nagkaroon ba talaga ng extrajudicial killing coming from the former president na sinasabi niya na meron talagang dati dinidinay nila na wala, now na nag-confirm niya. Then suddenly, it all boils down that the judicial killing that happened during the past administration, nagsimula talaga sa kanya. So ang premise ko dito, I think we need to ask a little bit more about this during our Quadcom hearing. But of course, after this, pwede na natin siyang I think we have to recommend to the DOJ what to do. But having said that, I think medyo napagaang yung aming trabaho dahil nga isa yun sa mga pinag-uusapan natin kung sasabihin talaga ng former president ang lahat. But during the investigation in the Senate,
yeah.
basically, nasabi na niya.
Do you agree, Kong A?
Yeah, there was a clear admission. I don't know if that was not an
What if it was
admission.
a joke? Alam mo naman ang presidente, maloko talaga yun sabihin ni Attorney Panelo.
In a committee investigation like that, we cannot take all statements with a grain of salt, so to speak. No? Dapat may basihan, dapat may laman, dapat substantial, dapat kapani-paniwala. So if basing it dun sa testimony ni Garma at ni Espinido na merong bayaran dun sa orders ng kill, no? Kung ihahambing natin sa sinabi ng ating Pangulo kanina, dating Pangulo, meron siyang admission, di ba? Na merong, yes, there was death squad, Davao death squad daw. Second, merong reward, no? Na although he said it differently, no?
He did, yeah.
In so many words, di ba? Medyo it was not a direct answer to a direct kind of question. So I'm not saying na ano na siya, na meron na siyang inamin na ganoong kabigat, no? Ang babasihan lang natin yung mga sagot doon sa mga tinanong kanina. So from there, we can already somehow picture kung ano yung maaaring punot dulo nung sinasabing
Ako may
extrajudicial killing.
quick line lang ako dyan. Kasi kung...
But before that,
Yeah.
no, walang conclusion. A personal opinion lang yon, no? Because I don't want to express an opinion that may somehow be the result of the investigation. Wala, no? That's how I haven't watched the hearing kanina. Narinig ko lang yung mga kwentuhan. So, yun ang aking opinion on the issue.
That's your input based on what you heard
Yes.
from
Yeah.
other people.
Ako kasi
Okay.
ang sa akin, Chairman, saka Pinky, okay tayo mag-joke. Mga presidente, pwede naman mag-joke, bakit hindi? Pero kung may mga ebidensya, klaro. Tapos magsasalita ka, tapos sasabihin mo, joke. then I think it's inappropriate. Dahil nga nakikita mo, andun yung mga patayan, andun yung mga bayaran, andun yung mga nakikita natin, may nagsalita, tapos sabihin mo pa rin joke. Hindi nakapanipaniwala yun. So, I think this is something that the Congress must look into, no? Na, pag may policy, I think you don't have to joke about it. Because may policy tayong sinusunod. And that will construed into something that yung mga nasa organization will follow.
Alam mo, maraming nangyari kanina na may mga sinabi si dating Pangulo that elicited laughter among the people in the gallery, to which Senator Risa Ontiveros was not very happy. I wonder if something like that happened in the House, if that would be something you would allow, pati po yung naging, siguro pagbumura ng dating Pangulo. We'll talk about that after the break. Welcome back. You're watching On Point. I'm Pinky Webb. Still with us, our House Quad Committee chairpersons, Congressmen Dan Fernandez and Robert Ace Barbers. There's still a lot to talk about. There's also a part, no, na sinabi ni dating Pangulo na para bang ini-encourage niya. Pag meron daw police operation, ini-encourage niya yung, gusto niya yung police i-encourage yung mga suspects na lumaban. I don't know if you caught that part.
It's tantamount and saying na, alimbawa yung kriminal, lagyan mo na ng barel para bunutin niya yung kanyang barel. Kasi in-encourage mo siya lumaban eh. Di ba? And that's something against the existing law that we have. I think yung pronouncement ng ating pong former president about that encouraging the criminals to fight back para patayin na because of the reward money. Kaya ganun ang ginagawa.
Do you need somebody else to substantiate this alleged reward system? I ask that because during the questioning of Congressman Abante, dito po kay Colonel Leonardo, dumating ho kasi doon sa, hindi, sagutin mo ako, yes or no. Do you believe there is a reward system? Sasagot sana, no, only yes or no. Do you believe? Tapos sinabi yes. And then everybody said, Leonardo, umami na si Leonardo. But I think there is a difference there when somebody says, I believe versus I know. Would you agree?
Well,
ako,
ikaw muna.
Hindi ako. The fact that there was remember, no, hindi naman kami court of law. No? Ang congressional inquiry or committee hearings are done on the basis of what is presented to us as evidence, either testimonial evidence or documentary evidence or circumstantial evidence yan. Basta we take it all in, no? And then come up with our committee report. Now, in this case, when he was asked if he knows that there was a reward money, sinabi niya, oo. Sinabi niya, meron bang levels yung reward? Sabi rin niya, oo. Although he always say that I'm not part of it. Hindi ko, wala akong personal knowledge dun sa pagbigay ng reward. But he acknowledges that there was really a reward. So, nag-umpisa yan kay Colonel Espinido eh. And then, na-substantiate at na-corroborate yan nung kay Colonel Garma. And then, na-corroborate again nung kay Colonel Leonardo. With that, statements of these three important and vital witnesses, then we can already come up with a committee report.
But isn't it vital to have Colonel Leonardo talk some more only because in the diagram of Colonel Garma, focal point
He
po
was at
siya
the
dun
center.
eh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hindi pwedeng,
Sagutin na lang niya yun.
I
If a
believe,
case will be filed against him, he has to do it in a court of law. Now,
Yeah.
if preliminary investigation from the DOJ, and then if a case is filed against him, then he has to answer that.
Saka at the same time, those people that were mentioned by Colonel Garma, if you will remember, doon sa affidavit niya, merong mga 5 tao na binanggit siya. Kaya nga sila Peter Parungo, si Muking, tapos there are 3 more na PNP officials.
PNP officials.
So we have to those people to be present in the next hearing. Unfortunately, kasi may process may rules tayo na dapat muna i-exhaust muna natin yung invitation, and then kapag talaga hindi na sila dumating, then we will be citing them in contempt.
Right.
So lahat yung pinapalo namin. Hindi
Okay.
namin binabali yan. So we have to wait for those people to be present in the next hearing.
here's a question, sir, gentlemen. Do you have, I guess, another witness coming up, siguro, without even revealing too much, that would corroborate the statement of Colonel Garma? Because I don't know if you will agree with me, sino ho ba yung pinaka-bombshell testimony ninyo dito sa House Quadcom?
Okay lang? Hindi, ako kasi, Pinky, kasi kung titignan mo, nagsimula yan doon sa mga PDLs yung dalawa. Di ba? Si Tata, sa kasi, sinabi,
Tata and Andy.
may price na 1 million. Di ba? 3 million nga yun, bayaran sila 2 million. Naloko pa sila.
May utang pa.
So, kinokorroborate lamang ni Garma yung mga sinasabi ng PDL, ni Jail Warden Padilla, ni Jimmy Fortaleza,
Ni Colonel Espinido.
Ni Colonel Espinido, na kung saan marami nang nagsasalita na meron talagang patayan at merong high value target na pinapatay.
Na may reward.
Oh, in other words, kung titignan mo, talagang punong-puno na. Well, kung sasabihin natin, kasi people
You feel you have an airtight case?
I believe so. Kasi these are people that are, na talagang close kay former president. And siguro, we need to have a little bit more witnesses, no? But ako,
Meron ho bang coming up?
Ako tatanungin.
Meron ho bang
Kasi yan lang
coming up?
inaasahan sa amin eh. But of course, kami naman bigla-bigla sometimes eh. Sa ngayon,
Bigla na lang.
kasi busy kami sa baha sa amin. So,
Yeah.
hindi muna kami nakakapag-focus sa mga bombshell.
Kong Ace, is there, I think when I spoke to you last, you said there could be somebody else.
Remember when you spoke to me last, I was always saying every time I'm asked na meron kaming mga witnesses, but marami sila. Kaya lang, we're still assessing and evaluating kung sino ilalabas namin. So in this case, in your question, kung meron pa bang mga witnesses, yes, marami pa. It's just that we're still demanding from them the requirements of the Quad. No?
Yeah.
Kailangan pumasa sila dun sa vetting, kailangan meron silang affidavit.
Okay, let me rephrase that question. Do you have an upcoming witness that will corroborate the statement made by Colonel Garma that there is a reward system in place?
So far, ngayon? Ako meron akong kausap eh. 3.
Tatlo.
Oo, 3. But of course, siyempre, hindi ko pa rin nasasabi sa kanila. And some chairman as well, meron din sila sinasabi sa akin. Pero I'm not in the liberty para sabihin yon. But of course, we don't want to bombard our hearing ng mga resource person na hindi naman so important. And that's the reason why nagtataka kami kay Grijaldo. Biglang nagtatestify doon at sinasabi meron silang bombshell. Hindi nga namin sa tinatanong.
May ganun ka pa talaga.
Oo, hindi naman namin sa
Parang
tinatanong.
itinatabi mo siya.
Tama yung sinabi ni Kong Dan eh.
Napaka-importante.
Hindi siya importante.
Okay.
No, hindi siya importante.
Ito po, Kong A, sorry, umaasa ho pa ba kayo na, well, with the statement made by Senator Bato de la Rosa na respetuhin nyo, interparliamentary courtesy, I don't want to be the president, ayokong maging umpisa o halimbawa nito. Do you respect that? And hindi na ba kayo umaasa na magpapakita? Or that are you still hoping na magpakita si Senator Bato?
Well, the invitation to both of them are sent already in several occasions. It's an open-ended invitation. It's up to them if they want to appear before the Quad and answer the allegations before the Quad. Kasi remember, alam din naman nila ito that we will be writing our committee report. Although we're not a court of law, but again, I can say probably this is the court of public opinion. Diba? If we do write our committee report, we will consider all the testimonies, whatever we have.
Yeah.
Now, if just one side is what is written in that report, it will appear to be biased. But it's not the end-all, be-all thing. Pwede pa naman silang mag-imbestiga. Remember kami, recommendatory lang kami. We will recommend to the DOJ to file, let's say, recommend filing of charges to anyone or maybe to all other existing government agencies to do their job based on the recommendations of the committee as stipulated in our committee report.
Right now, who would you recommend filing charges to?
I cannot say that at the moment, because we're still gathering everything. And I don't want to preempt any member who wish to give their inputs as well in the committee report.
Yeah.
As the chair, as the lead chair, I gather everything and make sure that everything is balanced.
Okay.
Remember yung sa amin kasi, di ba, yung una natin na kinonsider sa partial report namin, meron kaming ni-recommend sa SOJ, sa
DOJ.
Hindi, sa
Solicitor
General.
General, yung
Solgen.
parcels of
Yes.
land.
At yun
Solgen,
nga, gumawa na yung si Secretary Lucas Bersamin for the preservation of assets. Nung lahat ng mga properties
Properties
na
in
binili
question.
ng mga bogus Chinese corporations.
I remember that because you were saying, sa tagal ng panahon at hindi nila gawin yan.
Bibili na ng iba yan.
Oo, or
Mawawala
ibebenta
sa
na yan,
atin
mawawala na yun.
Samantalang yan, dapat sa government na may-ari niyan.
All right, when is the next hearing?
Well, November 6 is our tentative. November 6,
Yes,
by the
November
way.
6,
So, again, no, another issue there is that, ano ba yung topic? Kasi we normally decide on the topic at least 3 days, 2 days before. Kasi we cannot decide until after we know that the witnesses we will present will be ready. So, kung hindi ready, kunyari, meron kaming witness sa EJ, Pogo, for instance, no?
Yeah.
Wala kaming hindi ready yung witness, we will shift to EJK or to drugs.
Yeah.
Right.
So, depending on the availability of the witness.
So we don't know the topic on November 6 yet?
Not yet. But what we can do is probably share with you the maybe drugs, no? The Jimmy Guban testimony.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of the
Pogo.
EJK. The
Pogo,
Pogo.
yeah, the
Because,
Sa immigration.
yeah,
Mga issue
yung mga immigration sa, issues on the immigration sa Pogo.
Ito yung mga late registration.
And also the banks.
There's a lot of things. Oh yeah, of course.
There were several banks mentioned that somehow did not stop
Flag.
and flag the withdrawals of money.
Big money,
and large amounts of money. So yun ang isa sa tinitingnan din namin.
All right.
Dami pa.
I wish we had more time. Pero siguro last question. So November 6, tentatively, is the 10th hearing. How many hearings more or less do you think you still need?
Ako kasi tingin ko, kasi we will be going to a campaign already
Yeah.
on,
Campaign mode na
on
next year.
January, February. So, I think we have to decide on what to do with this dahil nga maapektuhan naman yung mga namin, yung mga local candidates namin. So, we'll be requesting the speaker.
Basta ang utos ng speaker ay maging thorough, maging komprehensibo sa aming investigation. And if we feel that we have already deliberated enough and sufficient na yung aming information that we are able to gather, then we can already file proposed legislations or remedial legislation.
And we did already.
We can already
Yeah.
stop. Kasi yun, there was an urgency to file that Solgen thing. And
the three-
yung dalawang, yung
the
tatlong
three bills, yes.
Yung tatlong bills, no? Yung espionage,
Pogo
yung Pogo law, at saka yung EJK law.
Yeah.
All right. So again, there will be, I think, maybe 3 more hearings at the Senate and a couple of more for the House Quadcom Committee. Gentlemen, Congressman Dan, thank you so much. It's good to see you in person again. And of course, Congressman Ace, maraming salamat. I hope this won't be the last. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank
you.
And
Thank you, and
that's
congratulations.
On Point. Join us again tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.